one of the ways we got to know you, Bertrand, was through the LinkedIn Live platform. And you were kind of an influencer, a content creator on LinkedIn Live. What actually first drew you to LinkedIn Live? And why did you want to create content on that platform?
So first of all, I think I'll have to admit to this. LinkedIn is my favorite platform. So for two reasons. One is, I actually learn a lot from it. Keeping up with the, what's happening in the industries, learning a lot from it. And I also, like how we share with each other. So those two things, you have to provide the content as much as you consume the content. That was one. And what really, drive me and others to actually looking at the live video part is we created an innovation lab in Chicago, and what we created is not an office space. It originally started as a construction site. It's a physical space where we can test, explore, validate technologies, but also provide immersive experiences. So when you have a facility like this, yes, we had thousands of visitors, which is great, but you also want to share with the industry all the things that you have learned, what worked and didn't work, and live video was a perfect way of doing that.
Tell us a little bit more about the Innovation Lab. What's the objective behind it?
It started August 2018 as a construction site in Chicago. We own this construction site to test and validate technologies and provide immersive experiences, especially industries can't really can't fail during operations, right? So when you're running an active construction site, or you're doing an active utilities, communication, even hospitality, these places that you are actively running, you can't really try some of these technologies and fail, and recovery will be hard, also going to cost you a lot.
Talk a little bit about the approach of not just sitting down and talking to folks, but actually doing mobile walkthroughs of experiences.
Number one, you need to have great connectivity. And I'll say this, once you confirm that you have great connectivity, Socialive worked really well. So we had no problems with that. Actually, one of those, I even did it from Paris several years ago. That was right after the fire in Notre Dame, and the wireless connectivity 4G worked. So it worked out itself. But I think the key there is, I'll say, less shiny, and kind of like really having people feel, the word I use now is first person, right? So it is not fully scripted. You always must have an outline, by the way. That's my advice. We have an outline of what we're going to talk about, all that. And the other thing we do is we don't practice too much, because if you practice too much, it becomes really mechanic, robotic. Those are the things I have learned by doing, I think now 25 or 28 of these, something around that range, is have an outline, have a strategy, have a clear message, but overall, don't practice it too much.
Of the 28 broadcasts that you've done on LinkedIn Live so far, do you have a favorite? And if so, why?
Two favorites I have. One was on March 11, we did one with our partner Farah with laser scanning Boston Dynamics Spot, which is that YouTube famous robot. And then we were able to show the world that the robot can do more than just dancing, right? So it's more than just that feature. The complexity of that streaming really taught us a lot. And some of the streaming features that we use, weren't working like 30 minutes before. It worked out because we had many cameras and stuff. Another one is with a good friend of mine, I think now a year and a half ago, we did a augmented reality segment with multiple technologies. At that time, we look back, we used I think 11 different softwares and 7 different hardwares, and stream from one thing to the other, so it works. And then we solved all of them in the morning, by the way. We solved them like the first 3 hours, and we didn't even know an hour before it was actually going to work. And I think one message here again is, some parts didn't work, that's okay. And then you just, say that it didn't work, and then talk about why it didn't work, and you move on.
When you look ahead over the next year, what are some of your dreams around video content for the Innovation Labs?
It is really expanding the audience, right? But I am also going to go back to what I said earlier, which is the right audience, right? So having the right audience is really important, and really expanding that messaging out to the industry, and go back to our mission. So yes, we created an environment. It's a physical space. We work with customers and partners and work on industry's problems, right? So that's what we're doing. This will only improve, the industry can only improve if you actually share with a wider audience. So the live video is enabling us to do that. Look, we are engaging with a lot of people. Like I said, thousands of people, that's great. But the industries are millions, right? So to really make an impact, you actually have to engage with larger audiences and actually show that, hey, these technologies are not just show and tell. They're real. They actually work. It was even in a live video, it actually worked. This person was able to show us it worked, right? A lot of it, I think, goes back to seeing is believing.